Hello, I'm Elif and this is a recap for episode 102 of the series For My Family, 24 hours after Turkey and before dubbed for TV. Ayla sits in front of the police, reviewing everything in her mind. Just as she is about to confess, Bark enters and tells the police, "We thought a thief had entered our house, but we were mistaken. My mother had come to report this." Ayla, who had been on the verge of confessing, steps out and happily goes towards Bark. However, Bark, who hasn't forgiven her yet, tearfully says, "I couldn't do it. I had thought of you as my mother all these years." Ayla embraces Bark, but Bark pushes her away, handing her credit cards and car keys, then walks away. Ayla cries bitterly. Şengül explains to the school supervisor that Emel has a family, and her foolish friend demanded Emel to sell tissues for unknown reasons. She tearfully asks the supervisor to hand Emel over to her and says, "If my family finds out, they won't let me stay at home. Please." The supervisor says Emel will stay at the school tonight, and tomorrow her uncle and brother can come to talk. In the restaurant, Nabahat angrily confronts Akif, who has arrived with a bouquet of flowers. Akif tells her that Soraya has invited him to reconcile with Yaman. Soraya confirms it. Yaman arrives and is shocked to see Nabahat and Akif. Finally, Soraya reconciles Akif and Yaman, and Akif reluctantly hands the bouquet to Yaman. Everyone waits for Şengül and Emel until late at night. Finally, Şengül arrives and tearfully explains everything. Omar, Orhan, and Asiye head to the school, and after numerous pleas, Asiye goes inside to stay with Emel. The next morning, everyone is angry with Şengül, showing their displeasure openly. Şengül keeps complaining and blames everyone else. Orhan can't take it anymore and says, "Instead of these words, think about what kind of woman you are. You're a selfish, heartless, and irresponsible woman." Şengül grabs Omidjan and leaves the house. Omar and Orhan go to the school, explain everything to the supervisor, and take Emel back home. Sarp and Lydia go to Elif at school to confront her for ruining their plan. When Sarp and Elif get into a heated argument, Bark quickly intervenes and defends Elif. However, Yulcan scolds Elif and confronts Lydia. Elif, upset, goes to the restroom and cries. Susan asks her what happened, and Elif says, "What Lydia and Sarp did doesn't bother me, but Yulcan broke my heart." Susan, realizing that Elif likes Yulcan, assures her that Yulcan will soon understand that Lydia is deceitful and will come to her side. Şengül, who had gone to Nabahat and Akif's house in anger, returned home the next day to collect her belongings but finds that Fatma has redecorated the entire house according to her taste. Annoyed, Şengül finally goes back and shows Fatma who the real owner of the house is. Susan surprises Omar and takes him to a fancy restaurant. Omar enjoys Susan's dishes and praises them. Susan says, "Honestly, I think I want to become a famous chef." Omar says, "Then when we get married, we'll have a feast every day." Susan replies, "This is the second time you've said that." Omar says, "Well, we'll get married. You just have to wait 7 years until I finish my studies." Susan is delighted. To get closer to Mahi, Yasmin decides to pretend she's interested in comic books and asks for Tolga's help. When they go to the bookstore to buy comics, they have a great time together, laughing and talking. Suddenly, Yasmin says, "I wish Mahi were here." Tolga, feeling upset, asks, "What do you mean?" Yasmin says, "I enjoy spending time with you. I wish Mahi and I were like you too." Shaval organizes a party at the club for the school, and when Nabahat realizes Akif is being scolded for his association with her, she says, "Well, kill your husband then. Pretend you didn't or did, who cares?" Şengül overhears their conversation and is shocked. Akif and Nabahat are forced to explain everything to Şengül and ask her to keep this secret between them. Emel gets into a fight with one of her classmates at school, and Asiye, Omar, and Susan rush to the scene. One of the kids in Emel's class mocks her because of a video Helmia took of her, and Emel frightens him. In the altercation, both of them get injured. The classmate's family talks rudely to Omar and Asiye, demanding Emel's expulsion from school. Omar becomes furious and argues with them. One man says, "People like this should be expelled from this school." Omar can't take it anymore, punches the man, and the principal contacts the police. Omar is arrested. Akif discovers that Yaman has arranged a meeting with Soraya. He finds the location and asks Yaman's driver to take Soraya elsewhere and tell Yaman that the car broke down and he couldn't follow Soraya. He informs Shaval, who likes Yaman, of Yaman's whereabouts. When Soraya arrives at the restaurant and sees Akif, she is shocked. Akif gives Soraya the address of the restaurant where Yaman is and says, "You can either go to my annoying partner or spend time here with me." Soraya chooses to stay with Akif. On the other side, Yaman is forced to endure Shaval. Susan goes to the house of the family who complained about Omar to seek their consent. She sees the man bidding farewell to another woman at the door warmly and immediately takes a picture of them. By showing the picture to the man and threatening to reveal the matter to his wife, she forces him to give his consent. Moreover, she makes him promise to apologize to Emel's friends at school the next day. The next day, everyone gathers at the club for the school event. Şengül, who is angry with Orhan, stays at Nabahat's house. Helmia goes there to visit her and tempts her to drink Akif's beverages. As they get a bit intoxicated, Şengül sees a picture Fatma posted online with her grandchildren and becomes furious, drinking more. At the party, when Mahi sees a comic book in Yasmin's bag, he gets excited and starts talking to her. He tells Yasmin that she is a lovely girl, and Yasmin, who has mustered the courage to propose, is about to do so. But at that moment, one of the waiters trips and falls, and Mahi helps him. Yasmin, excited about Mahi's gesture, becomes upset with his behavior. During a part of the celebration, parents dance with their children. Ayla watches Bark, who avoids her. Elif asks Bark not to abandon her mother, but Bark is more upset than this. They continue dancing for a while until Şengül, drunk and irrational, arrives and shocks everyone. She speaks ill of her stepson's mother and complains about Orhan's infidelity. Then, her eyes fall on Tolga, and she calls out to Yasmin, saying, "Don't you like this boy?" and then to Mahi, saying, "You took this girl's heart without reciprocating." Mahi, Tolga, and Yasmin are left bewildered. Şengül then calls out to Lydia, saying, "My son likes you." But Elif is in love with Yulcan. Everyone, except Akif, who smirks, is tormented. Finally, Şengül looks at Ayla and tearfully says, "I feel really upset whenever I see you." Şengül calls out Elif and Bark. Ayla and Aybüke try to stop Şengül, but she continues, "These two are siblings." Everyone is shocked. Finally, she turns to Shaval and says, "You killed your husband. You're a devil." She points to Sarp and Yasmin, saying, "Your mother paid someone to tamper with your father's car." She tells Omar, "This woman is the murderer of your father." Thank you for watching, stay tuned for the next episode.